Content warnings for this episode of Sekiro. Blood and gore, bright flashes, loud noises, ghosts, creepy noises, fire, patricide, animal cruelty, and alcohol. Please be aware. And now on to the episode. Welcome back to Let's Play Sekiro. Today we're going to be doing a bit of an ending thing and set up for that. But first let's deal with some ghost stuff. So I just bought the Lilac Umbrella. That allows you to block magic attacks and terror attacks. On top of that, we are going to get Malcontent. It is the finger plus the ring that Kingfisher used. It stuns ghosts. Now, Malcontent allows us to stun ghosts. This is very handy. There are a few things that aren't ghosts that it works on as well. Now, you can only use it a certain number of times. After using it 3 times typically, whatever gets stunned by it is going to usually it's done for a short time and then kind of enrage and attack. After that, it won't really work. Now we are heading back to the Headless, the first Headless we faced. This is the Akko Headless in Ashina Outskirts, near where we fought Chained Ogre. Now, Chained Ogre is mentioned to be not really like a real ogre. It's a little bit confusing. The translation, it would be hard to translate this one. I don't blame the localization team for this one, honestly. But there is a prayer necklace that talks about the pink ogre that was kept in the dungeon, who was a tall man that became red-eyed. Now, the Lilac Umbrella can just kind of tank this. You can actually deflect with the umbrella if you time when you bring it out right. Now, with the Lilac upgrade, you can block terror attacks, you'll get no terror buildup. The umbrella in general is way less useful on Charmless difficulty. That hard mode makes it so if you block you take damage, and that extends to the umbrella as well. Now, like before with Divine Confetti, you can deflect the Headless safely without getting any terror buildup, and you won't take damage for doing it. Now to show off Malcontent. Do not use Malcontent while the Headless is teleporting. There is currently a bug. It's fairly well known. It will cause it to turn invisible for the rest of the fight. I'm pretty sure you can't even lock onto it. Headless have an ability they don't typically use in this form, that when you saw it open with, where it kind of vibrates and shoots out like homing missiles of terror. I don't think you can deflect those or even block them. Usually you see it from the underwater Headless. They kind of use it a lot more, and it makes no hit, no damage for them. Very frustrating. I use the Tonto here so I can show what happens if you use up all of the charges. And remember, blocking even with Kuro's charm does not work against this guy. You'll still take some damage, even with Divine Confetti. But that is the Headless. Now, if you read their Spirit Falls, it mentions that they are heroes of old who were desecrated, beheaded, mistreated, and have come back as vengeful spirits, basically. There are a few things to them, some of them more so than others. The Akko Spirit Fall doesn't really tell us too much story. Later on, and it's not really a spoiler because there's 5 sugars and there's going to be 5 Spirit Falls, but Yasha's has more of a story, really. Now, something I want to point out, this statue is the same one at the end of Hirata, I identified as Fugen Bosatsu, but that would mean that they're a bodhisattva, but characters who refer to this statue refer to it as Hoteke, which would mean it's a Buddha. And it doesn't really look like any of the Japanese pantheon of Buddha, but Fugen Busatsu, in some pantheons and in some forms of Buddhism, is considered a Buddha, not a Bodhisattva. So I'm unsure if that's a little error, just a specific form of Buddhism for this. I'm not totally sure. Also, we are back in Hirata. Using Father's Bell, we've now gotten another version of it. Everything has changed from the area where we found Owl in Hirata 1 and beyond. And here is a familiar purple cloth. Now face, we don't really see his face. This is a Masanaga the Spear Bearer. So he thinks we're dead. Like, they have confirmed, okay, Wolf is dead. So this seemingly happens after the end of Hirata 1. Just wanted to show their fire on him, his dogs, he summons them. They will keep getting whistled to follow his commands, so the whistle finger does not work on this fight. You can use firecrackers to stun the dogs. If you just stay aggressive and keep on him, he can't call the dogs out with his whistle. It seems like it spawns infinite dogs. Even if you kill them, he can keep whistling and more will come. And they have the little forehead armor, like I pointed out before. He otherwise works like a normal lone shadow for fighting. To note, killing him here does not kill him in the future. It's still unclear if this is actually time travel or what. It just seems like it doesn't make any sense. So this is like a memory. We can take things from it, but if we do the things that we're going to do in this memory, if this was actual time travel, we would completely alter the entire history of Sekiro, which does not happen. Also just showing, Mist Raven, if you hold still, don't do a direction, you go straight up. He drops adamantine scrap and a prayer bead. You can only reach this with the purification ending route, so there are 2 prayer beads here that will otherwise be unable to get. If you do this without doing Hirata 1, you'll also miss a prayer bead. You'll miss Juzo from Hirata 1's prayer bead. There are some new enemies here. There are more Taro troopers, some more bandits, and there are going to be lone shadows. Don't fight the lone shadows. Seriously, they're in large groups and it just sucks. Fighting more than one lone shadow is really hard. And fighting 2 is kind of hard. Fighting 3 or more is like a nightmare. You just don't want to do it. I tried a few recordings for it, and unless you just backstab a few right away, it takes forever. It takes like 10 minutes to kill them. Because you have to spend so much time deflecting and running around, and you can't ever attack. You can't even really deathblow, because they'll hit you while you're trying to deathblow one. Also, here, Bratman from the Sekiro Reddit Discord pointed out, if you hold down the blast and then release, then hold it down again, you get a flamethrower over time that will keep burning. I did not know about that, and I kind of feel like that should have a better control. But yeah, killing things in Hirata 2 doesn't seem to affect anything. It seems like Hirata 1 was us deciding what Wolf/Sekiro did in the past. That's why killing Anayama there affects present Anayama. But this is not our memory. This is the memory of Owl. We're kind of like invading it. Though the previous bell was actually owned by Kuro. During the Lady Butterfly cutscene, you can see and hear it. It's on his right hip. Now, seemingly, we're like invading this memory of Owl's. It's not like what we do here changes things per se. but we can still take things from it. It's almost like another dimension or alternate universe. I feel like that would be a better way to describe it. Almost like dreams and like Lovecraftian work and Bloodborne, but I'm unsure how intentional that is. This one is way more direct, so I feel like that has to be how it's working. The other one is kind of like confusing. This one, though, makes it far more clear, I think, that this is not the past at all, because we take very important items from this that are part of the main plot later in history that took place earlier in the game. Also, I just wanted to include this because kind of had to, because I picked up the items. This is like some of the worst play I've ever done. I don't know why, my brain just shut off. That wasn't even like I didn't take it seriously enough. It was like I was playing it and just my brain turned off. We're going to see yet another familiar face, but this is someone we haven't talked to before or seen alive. Masanari. He was near Masanaga in Serpent Shrine, but dead, killed by the Tengu, who is Ishin. Also, there is Juzo again. We have to fight him again.
Hirata yasuki, zongai ni tayasukatta na. Sekiro no tebiki mo nakanaka no mono de wa nai ka. Orea tsukanee na. Ano jijii wa dou ni mo usankusee. ありゃけど、土下座だぜ、正成さんよ。まあ我慢しろ。いかに企もうと、所詮は田舎のはぐれ忍び。何ができることもあるまい。俺は銭と酒さえ都合してもらえりゃ、文句はねえさ。
Now, we have definite confirmation here. Also, I accidentally healed. Owl was behind Hirata Estate's burning. He was the one who planned and orchestrated this. Now, this form of Juzo is definitely harder. He has more health and deals more damage, but a big part of it is he has Masanari with him, the Lone Shadow. Masanari in the future will be killed by Ishin as the Tengu. I thought I should actually mention a little bit here. I didn't have too good of an opportunity to talk about it. But Ishin as the Tengu? It hints to me that Ishin understands certain aspects of ninjutsu and knows about shinobi, has knowledge of acting as a shinobi. He's kind of being like Sengoku Batman, again unrelated to Sengoku Batman, the movie. But he is sneaking up on them and using stealth. He's noticing them. He seems very perceptive and good at going around with a Tengu mask and hunting people. He's operating as a shinobi in essence. On top of that, it's mentioned that Ishin has been trying to master every art of war. He knows how to use basically every weapon. He knows how to use all sorts of different fighting styles and has been incorporating them into his own. And this makes me think Ishin would have studied shinobi and their styles of combat, especially considering he knows a fuckload of them. He's basically surrounded by them. Now, fighting Juzo himself is the same, he just has more health and deals more damage. Things that work there work here. You can still puppet enemies around. There are archers here that fire arrows. I believe they're poison arrows. So, Juzo is resistant to poison since, you know, he drinks poisonous stuff and puts poison on his weapon. However, the arrows over time will still poison him, and it's kind of useful. They can pepper him as you're distracting and fighting him. Puppeting the shinobi at the start, the Lone Shadow Masanari, is kind of hard. There are some easier ways to go about it. One is simply to use the finger whistle. You can whistle him over, and then just stealth deathblow him and puppet him. You can also just fight him and puppet him after using Vault Over to allow you to get a backstab deathblow. Now, I'm going to show it in a bit, but you can also use Stealth Sugar / Stealth Spiritfall and just sprint at him, and then backstab him and puppet him. The movement is very precise. You have to get it very exact. It's hard to do every single time. Usually it takes a couple of tries for me to get it, and I know people that struggle like 10 times in a row to get it. Now, like usual, this sort of enemy you don't want to fight exactly with deflects. You can. He has some very fast attacks, and the posture buildup isn't great. You're going to want to be hitting him from behind for vitality damage a lot. With puppets, this is easier. They'll distract him, keep his focus away. Now, Masanari will typically kill the archers first. I'm not really sure why he does that. Maybe they hit him with the arrow first. He does have his poison fists, which are pretty handy. They'll eventually poison Juzo. I like to use oil and fire for Juzo. It's pretty good. You'll probably burn the puppet too is all, but it's not a really big issue. Make sure to back off when Masanari is going in to hit. His big sweeping sword swings will hit you. I like to use Ichimonji double on Juzo. It's good at interrupting his self buffs and his poisoning. It'll also stun him from behind pretty well. If you hit him on the front, he might block. Dodging around is pretty effective on Juzo. This time you don't have a Nogame Gensai to help you. As you can see, he's dead on the ground over there. I guess canonically he died. Now this is very confusing that Juzo is still here and alive, because I don't understand how Owl would have backstabbed Wolf after he beat Juzo, and that's what this takes place after. But then Juzo is back? I don't know if that means the story is that Juzo never got killed and somehow Wolf snuck around him. But you can't, there's a fog wall. It literally, if you are unseen, you still can't get past. I don't know what that really means for the story. Oh, and I got punched there. How sad. When he's doing those overhead slams are one of the biggest openings. You can just run around him and hit him. Again, it's mostly the same fight. Deflects are kind of annoying, especially on his really fast attacks. Don't stand directly in front of him if he's going to spray poison. Not only because of the buildup, but it actually stuns you for a moment, like someone's kicked dirt in your face. Which enemies can randomly do. Only certain enemies do it, like low-level Ashigaru and the bandits. It's really annoying and random, and there's really nothing you can do. If it happens, you're probably just going to take a hit. Now, as mentioned, Owl was behind Hirata. He wanted everyone here killed. He appears to have, even at this point, been after the Divine Heir's heritage. He wanted to become immortal and last forever. He would still be very old at this time. Also, there is poor Nogame Gensai. It definitely is him, that is his model. I checked. I'll take a look at him. You can see all of the dead Hirata samurai around who, I believe they describe it as a sister clan of the Ashina. They were under the Ashina. That is, yeah, definitely Nogame Gensai. Rest in peace, Sekiro's only son, bro. Also, that's Masanari. The normal bandits in this area are actually kind of weak. This area up ahead, do not confuse yourself. Do not think for a second, oh, well, Juzo's dead. Now up ahead is easy. Right here, there are two monk-type enemies. That is the same sort of guy that was the shinobi hunter. These enemies are actually pretty hard. If you can get them to do thrust attacks, they're not too bad. It's actually everything else. They're just quick jabs and sweeps and hits that are really dangerous. But a fun thing you can do is puppet them. You only really need to puppet one to make this area pretty easy. There's one to the right behind this screen, actually. So you can break through the screen and puppet him. I love doing this. Then all that's left are two poor archers. They don't really have a hope of winning this fight, even though I'm kind of just standing still watching and getting hit by arrows. Be a bit careful though if you decide to engage, because the monks will totally just wipe you out if you're fighting things near them. Now, some of the items here have changed. The prayer bead that's here will actually not have changed, so if you go to Hirata 2 and didn't get it in Hirata 1, it should still be here. But as you can see, there's some extra sugars and pellets and things around. Just a few things have been added. Otherwise, you're not really going to miss anything. If I go back here, things are still opened. I guess if it did change, this would mean that you'd be able to get an extra prayer bead 41, which would be very confusing. Next episode, we're going to be seeing Owl. No real spoiler there, Owl is the final boss of Hirata 2. It's been setting up for this. Now, if you come here and don't yet go and fight Owl, you can head back and talk to Emma.
古い記憶から戻られたのですね。
だがまだ全ては見えてはいない。
わかりました。どうかお気をつけて。狼殿。どうか。狼。
Now, something additional here. This is a little bit out of order. You'll typically want to do this before starting purification. But if you give Sculptor all the sake, you get special dialogue that's really important.
少々ナイフの軍が来ています。
そうと、相も変わらず奪うことが好きな連中じゃ。
炎はまだ消えませんか。
エマよ、何度聞いても変わりゃしない。いくら仏を掘ろうとも遠佐の炎は消せぬ。押しとどめるがせいぜいじゃ。
少女、
なんじゃ。
もしその時が来たならば、せめて私が。
わしは仏を掘るので忙しい。じゃあな。
狼殿もいらしたのですね。私は仏を掘る音を聞くのが好きで、時折ここを訪ねるのです。狼殿。では、また。
お前さんも来たのか。わしは仏を掘るので忙しいんじゃがな。わしが掘れる木の実ではな。また久しくらいなら貸してやろう。
Now, seemingly for this playthrough, I actually screwed it up, but I have saves before this, so I can fix this anyway and show later dialogue that will be altered by this. But this is really important dialogue for something later on in the game related to the sculptor. If you wanted to understand how to get this, you want to do this before you start purification. Because once Emma is over here for purification, she's going to pretty much stay. You need a moment where she'll leave to actually get that and not be doing purification. And Sculptor is actually supposed to have a dialogue here telling you about how he wants you to kill him, but I can't get it. This is just his normal generic dialogue. So, I'll show that later. I will be seeing you in the next episode of Let's Play Sekiro. Bye now.
フクロウと狼殿。
なんだ。
どうか、武運を。
おう。
狼殿、